That's great.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm not dead.
Speaking of your wreck, how's the insurance companies handling everything?
Oh, it's everything's gonna be fine,
Okay.
man. It's no big deal. Uh, I mean, inconveniences are just what the fuck ever. I have so much good times, and I roll so many nat 20s in life that when I fuck around and roll a one, it's really hard to cry.
Well, I mean, it's the main thing is that as long as he had insurance and it's paying.
Oh yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah, I move on without the insurance company, and if they make things right, then cool. And if not, then you know, things will happen, I guess. But
Yeah,
those
because
are
I can
things
imagine
that are out of my control.
I imagine that hospital bill ended up being pretty impressive.
Oh well, I mean, I'm gonna. I don't know. They haven't sent me anything yet, so
Yeah,
if they send me something, I'm insured. So I mean, it's not like
sure. Yeah,
It always cracks me up when something like that happens and then you forget that the insurance already paid everything, but you get that invoice from the from the hospital or whatever, and you
yeah.
open it up and you're like, "Holy shit, it's like $55,000." Oh wait, paid for by insurance. Okay. Whew. And then you have to go to the
well,
ER cuz you had a coronary over seeing that balance.
Oh
so I
yeah.
I worked in insurance. The thing that always kills me is when you see how much the insurance company actually paid.
Right? Yeah.
Because they'll bill you for like 50 grand, then the insurance company pays 5 grand. They're happy with that,
Right.
and you're like, so you're screwing over uninsured people for the extra 45,000. Okay, nice.
Well, yeah, but so I remember when my mom was there towards the end. She was in the hospital, and she didn't have any insurance, and so she was on like she was on a program for uninsured people, low income, and we got a bill, and they were charging like $65 for an ace bandage.
Right. Yep.
And little did I know until that happened, because we had a advocate through that program. They're like, well, yeah, if you see something like that on the bill, you can call the hospital and contest that, because. And she said, the reality is you can go down to your local Walgreens or CVS and buy an ace bandage for $3.95.
And the hospital gets it cheaper than that because they're buying them in bulk.
Right. And lo and behold, no shit, that was the truth. I called and went itemized the list. And like, this is ridiculous. And I mean, it was like $65 for an ace bandage. They charge something ridiculous like $30 for cotton pads. And I
Yep.
mean, just stupid. And so went through and itemized the list, and I didn't come to find out I didn't have to do this, but I went up to the local drugstore, Walgreens, and I took pictures of their prices for stuff. And I'm like, there's no
Sure.
way I'm paying this much for this stuff. And I sent them pictures, and they didn't argue about it at all. They just, okay, just removed it.
Right.
I'm like,
No, that type of thing happens all the time, but it is upsetting. And it's the same thing with drugs. If you pick up a drug through your insurer, look at how much the pharmacy charges for it, then look how much the insurer actually pays.
right,
And you'll see that they pay a fraction. And so that means the uninsured are getting billed that full amount. And most of the reason for that is that if the hospital cuts a deal with the uninsured and says, you don't have insurance, we know you can't afford this $16,000 bill, so we're going to knock it down to $3,000. Well, they get to deduct the $13,000 loss. And you're going, it's not a true loss. It's a grossly inflated bill is what that is. And so, even the insurance company's not paying that much, so it's just one of those things where it's you don't see that in other businesses.
well, and it's so weird how some of this stuff interacts. So, and I went through, speaking of drug charges, so I went through that this last January. Is that so? Because so last year, the beginning of last year, my wife had back surgery, and she had been in
Right.
the ER with terrible back pain, and we have like a $4,000 deductible, and so
Right.
of course that ate up the deductible, and so for the rest of the year, everything was covered. We had nothing on deductible, and for my psoriasis I had got put on Cosentyx. Well, then,
which is very expensive. All the psoriasis stuff is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got an eye-opener come January because, of course, January 1st, that's the start of a new calendar year. And so that whole deductible thing resets. And now they're wanting for one 90-day, or no, one month 30-day dose was like $3,700. And I'm like, there's no effing way I can afford that. And so the insurance company was like, well, you can contact the maker of Cosentyx and the manufacturer.
Yeah, they have programs that'll give you at cheap rates for like a year or two.
Well, what I didn't know, so I did, and they were like, okay, well, you qualify for $16,000 for the year, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to get me through a whole year, and so I, kind of wondering, well, yes, I'll take it, but then I'm going to have to come up with another idea, when it runs out.
Right.
But come to find out that the money that they give you from that program to go in to pay it counts towards your deductible for the insurance company. So,
Nice.
yeah, and I nobody had told me this. We found out on accident. And come to find out, they were like, okay, well, your deductible's paid. And we're like, how is that possible? And then my wife got to looking into it. She's like, oh, well,
yeah, because
Cosentyx is giving you $16,000 to cover this. And so, like, the first 2 months covered our deductible for the rest of the year. And so, I mean, shit, everything's great now.
And that's actually one of the reasons I get upset with, those ads for GoodRx. How I said, people don't realize that when you go through GoodRx, you are not going through your insurance company.
Right.
So you're not hitting your deductible.
Right.
And, that may be okay for some people, but it definitely is not for others. And
yeah, it's certainly not ideal in the long term. I mean,
and like you said with that Cosentyx, I can guarantee you that GoodRx is not going to sell it much cheaper than you can buy it without insurance.
Oh, yeah. There for about 6 weeks, I was shitting solid gold bricks. I mean, not that my psoriasis... I mean, my psoriasis bothers everybody else worse than it bothers me. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's not a life-saving situation at all. I certainly enjoy my life a lot more without it. But...
Right.
It wasn't going to kill me to not have the Cosentyx, but man, I was like, if I could stay on this drug, that would be great, and it just kind of all came together, and so now that I know that, I like to let people know. It's like, hey, this will apply towards your deductible. And that has a downhill effect. So, like, if you need to go in for surgery or you break an arm or you get into a car accident, that's all covered for the rest of the year, too. So, something to know.
Yeah, that's a friend of mine was on Humira, and he goes through Kaiser. And Kaiser evidently has switched to the biosimilar Amgevita, which is great because I haven't been able to find any of those biosimilars available in the United States, like at all.
Right.
I know they use them in England because they have socialized medicine there, and so they want to save some money. But I guess Kaiser has a big enough purchasing power that they could force
Kaiser
one of these companies to make the biosimilar.
Kaiser's pharmacy is hugely in favor of what most of us term generics.
Sure.
And of course, because, it saves them money. And in most cases, the generic version is as good as the name brand. I will say most cases. It's not always true.
I have severe psoriasis too, and so It was upsetting that there are biosimilars for Enbrel, Humira, and Remicade, and yet you couldn't find them anywhere in the United States.
Right.
Because those manufacturers found it was more cost effective. They could make more money by making the real thing. So why make a biosimilar? And
Well,
so,
and I went through that as well because I was originally on Humira, and I had
Right.
asked at the time, I had asked about because it was so expensive and our
Yeah.
deductible, it was eating our deductible alive, and I had asked about going on a generic, and our insurance company told us point blank there is no generic, there is
Yeah.
only
Well,
Humira.
there are. It's just that the companies that can make it are the same companies that make the real stuff, and so they're
Right.
why make something at 2/3 the price? The one that it's Otezla's, that's the pill.
Right.
It should be there should be a generic version of that probably within 5 to 6 years. So
Yeah, I remember I wanted to go on a Tesla, but my doctor said that my psoriasis was bad enough that I needed to go with an injection.
yeah, my cousin took it and it worked for her, but she started getting really signs of depression, and she ended up going off of it, and it made a huge difference. I guess that's a known side effect of
Right.
Tesla. But yeah, it's I was on Stelara for quite a while. It worked great, but they retail that $25,000 a shot, and
Yeah.
with insurance, it was costing me. You only need four a year, so it's not like but still that's
It's
$100,000.
only $100,000 a year.
So with my insurance company, I was getting them for it was costing
more than that.
it was costing me $1,000 a shot to get them. So it would be $4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's unbelievable what they're able to charge for these biologicals.
No shit.
And you got to figure that's to me that's the reason insulin started climbing in price,
Right.
because insulin is essentially a biologic as well.
Right.
So if you're a company able to make insulin, then you're able to make Stelara or something similar and charge $100,000 a year for it. So why would I make insulin at $300 a pop? It's like that. Of course, the prices are going to go up. They can make far more expensive drugs than insulin. Why would they keep their prices down?
Right. Yeah, when I was on Humira, like it was a miracle drug. Like my doctor's like, oh well, you probably won't see any results for like 3 months, but stick with it. Bullshit.
Yep.
I saw results in like 6 weeks. I was clear, and then
Enbrel completely cleared me, and Stelara same.
And then all of a sudden one day it just stopped working. Like
that, and that definitely can happen.
Yeah, that's why they stuck me on the Cosentyx, but. Anyways,
that darn tumor necrotic factor just gets too haywire.
Right. Yeah. So now that we've cured the world of their insurance and medical billing problems, welcome to Deepnight Revelation. We will be picking up where we left off last week. Was it last week? Yes.
We actually played last week.
This last week has been that's been four-wheel drive rough. But before we get started, I will like to thank a friend of the Greenwater Guildhall. None of these are sponsorships or partnerships of any kind. They are just products that we really like. Tonight, we'd like to thank Boston Scally Company. Boston Scally makes wonderful scally caps in numerous styles and prints and fabrics. And right now they are having a 15% off summer sale. And so, go out and get yourself a new hat. And they just released a new one. I think it's the blue plaid. Anyways, it's a really cool looking hat. So yeah, if you want to go out and get yourself a new cap, go to bostonscally.com, and they have their 15% sale going on. So check them out. If you are a fan of the channel, we do have a merch store that 100% of the proceeds from that store go directly back into the channel, which greatly helps us, especially with inflation the way it is right now. They keep lying to me and telling me that inflation is going down, but I'm certainly not seeing it. But yeah, we've got a Beers Time, we've got T-shirts, we've got buttons. There's a fleece blanket that comes in 3 different sizes. So yeah, go get yourself a new T-shirt if you want to help us out, and we appreciate anything that you do. And I got the tracking order, the proof for the next Braunhaven book. The Lost Mines of Drothamstone is in the mail, on its way to me, so that should be going up on DriveThruRPG soon, available in PDF and print on demand. And so, I don't know, I'm probably as excited as anybody else to actually see it in print, because I really went to town on this one. So look for that very soon. Hopefully, maybe in the next week, it should be going up. Crossing my fingers that everything is good and I don't have to go for a second print. So here's to hoping. So where we left off last week, you guys, you dealt with a whole bunch of internal shit going on the ship. In that Chandra got knocked up. Because she wasn't taking her birth control. You guys instituted a new plan in that monthly everybody has to go make their trip down to the med bays for their shot. No more trusting anybody to take it on their own. And the solution that you guys came up with is that she was given the option of, the captain gave the option of both her and Mayak. They could either get off at Demnon and head back home and be off the mission, which neither one of them really wanted, or that because you guys didn't want to have to deal with raising a child on a 20 to 28 year mission, their option was to have the embryo removed and frozen until you return, and then they can go ahead and become new parents at the age of 48 or 50. And they opted for the second option. And you also, I believe, Bocephus took Mayak into the med bays as an assistant, kind of getting him away from that whole situation, giving him something else to focus on.
That's correct.
And so, the next on your list is that the long range sensors from your astrogation team have come back with a stellar object called that has been originally named QQ-784, and they are labeling it as a proto star system. And so the big excitement of this is, of course, a proto star system, meaning that the star, it's a T-Tauri star that hasn't completely formed yet. And so there's still planetesimal chunks floating around, and there is a proto gas giant where the atmosphere is thin enough that they believe there is a good possibility that it is possible that you may be the first humans to ever be able to step foot on the core of a gas giant. And the science teams are going nuts. And so they have they sent you a number of proposals, and you have picked a geologist and a probably a biologist and a planetologist, and you guys are getting ready to load up on
the starologist.
Yeah, the starologist. You guys are getting ready to load up the Desinex and check out this gas giant. But they have there is an additional proposal that another team wants to take a small craft, such as a launch or pinnace, and go over to try and get samples of some of the gas jets and possibly some of the planetesimals. And they need to know if you would approve that.
Hell no.
We don't trust anybody else.
No. Can you haven't imagined what them?
Why can't they? Yeah. Why can't they just go with us and we do it all in the Driznex? We've got a pilot.
Well, you
personally, they can take a small boat because I don't want to get near one of those jets and probably fry them.
Well, right, and they'd have to be, they're aware of the dangers of that. They'd have to be, very careful about how they don't want to fly into the jet. They want to get close to the jet, get their sample, and get out. And on the way out, grab a chunk of planetismal and take that with them, and that's really the extent of it.
They don't want pictures of them standing on it.
No.
That's what I want.
Well, so the gas jets that are coming out, they're talking about the gas jets that are coming out of the T-Tauri star.
That one
Planetismal. They need to stay away from them jets.
What that one lady that we put in charge of that job, the
Alex Venati.
Yeah. Can she head that up?
Yes, she could.
Oh, we get rid of her. She can go see a jet.
I want a picture showing me standing on a gas giant. I think that's awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, that's where.
Yeah, that's
going.
where you guys are heading.
Yeah, but we'll assign that to her. Sub Lieutenant Alex Venati, we'll summon her and tell her she needs to take these people and then lay out their proposed mission precisely, and put her in charge of the whole thing.
Okay.
Like she's in charge of even their science side. So if shit they say goes outside the perimeters,
Right.
She'll have the final say on that, not the scientists.
Gotcha. Okay.
Disagreements on that?
Yeah, no, as long as, and when the scientists aren't around, just tell her, look, safety's the number one priority, regardless what the scientists think.
Yeah, and you and the ship coming back take precedence over the scientist.
Right.
Yeah, and she wholeheartedly agrees that safety has to be number one, and she brings up a very good point. So this is the first step into the long nothingness. You guys are now officially and I mean I have a hard time saying that Denman was a part of charted space, but I guess it was the furthest reach that charted space had actually gotten to. And so this protostar system is the first step beyond the furthest that anybody's ever been, kind of thing. And she brings up the good point in that that you can't afford at this point to replace crew. You can't, and probably or possibly worse than crew, you can't afford to replace equipment. If a launch or a pinnace is lost in an operation, it's lost forever.
Yep.
So.
Oh, we should definitely have a big party when we cross that line.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you have crossed that line.
Look, we've got. If it comes time that we have to replace a small craft or something, we'll cross that bridge. But we're going to spend a lot of time in dead space, and something for the scientists to work on and study and analyze is a purpose. And we do not need people not having a purpose. This is important to get them started on something fruitful.
Right, and that's kind of, part of this is like, this is probably the most excited that the science teams have been since you've been on the ship. This is huge.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I mean,
are you so this is officially you guys crossing the line this week in Jump Space. Are you doing a party? Kind of, is that what you wanted to do, or?
Well, we do need to make sure that we do maintain a good morale of the ship as a whole. And I got a feeling that there's crap built into the adventure that if we don't do things to make the crew happy and stuff, it's going to bite us in the ass.
It's a long trip.
I think it definitely needs to be a party. I mean, I just think of those ships that go across the equator and things like that. I mean, it just seems like logical that you'd want to celebrate a milestone like that.
Yeah.
I'll break out some of my good shit, and I'll get us all fucking tripping and
you
fucking
guys,
drunk.
well, you still have some of the. Well, I think that you still have in storage the stores.
Her dad gave us some booze, right?
that the Duke of Tobiah gave you as a gift.
Yeah, let's break that up.
All right, so yeah, you guys break it out, and you have a killer party. I'm going to roll. Yeah, your morale goes way up. The crew is so everybody. The crew was kind of a little bit melancholy. Not necessarily melancholy. I don't know that that's necessarily the right word, but they were a little bit, I guess, a little bit homesick and a little bit apprehensive. Not knowing what's going to be out there, what they're going to see, and especially after spending, 5 or 6 days. Well, yeah, 5 or 6 days on Denman at Break Room, where they had forged new friendships, some romantic liaisons, and then to have to leave and know that they're not going to be back for 20 plus years. There was a little bit of a downer there. And so this really brings the crew back together and pushes them, way up. Their morale goes way up. In fact, that's enough for you guys to the crew as a whole is re-energized and actually functioning better. So yeah, your party goes over very well. There's no major events that happen. Oh, that's good. And after a week goes by, you come out of jump. And yes, I knew I had stuff for this. And so this is the system. This actually here is the gas giant, believe it or not. And over here is the Titari star. And in between here and that star, I mean, you can kind of see there's more of these planetismals all over the place. And the entire area is basically filled with gas. And part of the flight team's concern on the bridge was that when they came, that this was going to be a rough re-entry because of all of that ionized gas. But they actually did very well and brought the ship in. There was no headaches or nosebleeds or anything worse than that. And it was a little bit rougher than you're used to coming out of jump. But you have popped in and with no problems. Now, immediately, let's see here. The immediate thing that you learn, is that because of all the ionized gas in the system, that sensors and communications are going to have some minor difficulties, which basically translates to a -2 to comms and sensor checks.
Still, nevertheless, we do need to check and scan and do the check of the comms to see if there's anybody around to talk to us.
Sure. Yeah. So
Sarda is the scanner. I think that nobody can even come close to Sarda.
The comms guy is not getting anything. He's getting the weird. It's not just static that he's getting. He's getting. I don't know if you've ever heard like the stellar sounds of what like Saturn sounds like. That's basically what he's picking up from the entire system. It's just these weird stellar whale sounds that are coming in mixed with, radiation and static.
They changed the traveler sheet.
Did they?
The character sheets look very different. And in fact, the roles look different too. I used to not-
Cyborg Prime has really been putting a lot of Traveler work in on Roll20.
Well, oh yeah, they do. Interesting.
Wow.
Actually, I kind of like it. It's easier to
I-
read, that's for sure.
I can definitely read the role better. It used to be a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not running Traveler anymore, so I'm not seeing this as often. But this has definitely changed since last week.
Yeah, it has. No, I mean, interesting. I don't know if you guys will need to
How do you do that?
fiddle around with your roles or whatever, but yeah, this
I
I think
different.
everything looks like it's filled in properly. It's just that the formatting is very different.
Yeah.
I got a 9 on comms check.
Okay, so yeah, you I mean, he's not getting anything that is any kind of comms traffic. You check your comm. You kind of go over his communications, and you are picking up that there are you're not picking up any radio signals. You are picking up, you can differentiate between the sounds of the gas plumes and the planetesimal chunks and background radiation, of which there is quite a bit of background radiation in the system.
Gonna go ahead and get us all ready with some rads, anti-rads.
Well, don't you so anti-rads you don't want to take until you actually have radiation damage. If I remember correctly, where is
There was one of them that you put beforehand, and it gave you. So I need to look it up.
Yeah, let me. Where are my drugs? Oh, that's why. I was like, why am I not finding my drugs? Because I'm in the wrong book.
While you look it up, I'm gonna go put the pizza in the oven.
Okay. Drugs. Anti-rad. So, it says, so administered before or immediately within 10 minutes. So yeah, you could administer them now, but don't take more than one per day, because if you take more than once per day, may cause permanent endurance damage of 1D per dose, and possibly also erectile dysfunction.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead though, and I'm gonna go ahead and hit it up here, so we don't have to fuck with it later.
Right.
Yep. This gives everybody 100 rads of absorption. If we fuck around, it's better to get it on the front end than on the back end. It's better to stay ahead of this shit.
That's true. So you are administering anti-rad drugs. So Sarda, you I assume that 12 was for your sensors check.
Yep, sensors.
So you kind of zoom in, and this is the proto gas giant. And so it shows essentially that there are two, so you got these ionized gas jets that are coming off of this giant, but then there is two gas envelopes, a methane, ammonium, and helium atmosphere, and then of course the chewy nougat center of a rocky metallic core. Your pilot is, of course, it's Jack, so he's got like I think his total was something retarded, like +6 to his piloting check. So he's he's not overly concerned. He's like, yeah, I can get through there.
Are we able to keep track of the smaller vehicle that we've sent our sub-lieutenant on?
Yeah, they're prepping and getting ready to take off towards the star, and the plan kind of is that so Revelation is going to basically park and do refueling operations, and the refueling operations, it's kind of parked excuse me, like halfway between the gas giant and the star, and in between those planetismals, there's a lot of icy chunks floating in there. And so the plan is for them, their refueling operations, they're going to crack the ice
Yeah.
and
Right.
crack the water.
Wow.
Break out that heater.
Right, and they're going to siphon fuel that way. And meanwhile, you guys will go in opposite directions and meet back in the middle. So it's not quite as far for either one. Actually, Destinex will probably get to the gas giant and back faster. And so once you get back, presuming that Revelation is fueled at that point, they can then turn and head towards and kind of meet the pinnace in the in between.
Okay.
Bless you.
I guess before we really break out, I want to make sure that I've give control to the medical staff. Give some instructions to the medical staff. I want them to go ahead and do a inventory while we're here refueling and making sure that we have everything fabricated that we need fabricated.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that.
Do you want to bring the idiot?
Yes, of course.
Your assistant.
Why is it that the
Yes.
dumb ones are always the ones that procreate? Have you noticed that?
You saw Idiocracy.
Yes, I have.
Well, you guys look at him as stupid, and I just look at him as somebody that's easy to talk into things.
That's true as well.
I don't. Yeah, maybe calling him. Well, yeah, his intellect is only 6. He's not.
We're gonna work on that. We just need to get some time to get in there and feel around and see what's clogging him up.
Yeah, I mean,
How are you going to improve his intellect?
yeah,
I don't know. I've got this embryo that's got his DNA. I can probably get something to,
Can
give
you
him a boost.
can you go to the reactor vat and make a better brain?
Might want to try. So he's good for something.
So let's see how Jack does.
Yeah, where's Jack tonight?
Yeah, Jack did okay. So Jack, this is funny. He was working for Amazon in the fulfillment center, and he realized what I told him, that it is a exceptionally physically demanding job. And after after a month of working there, he's like, man, I just can't. I don't think I can keep doing this. That is definitely a young man's game. I'm not.
Yeah.
I will not deny that. And so he left, and he actually got hired on the delivery side. So he's now driving trucks and making the deliveries. So that's where Jack is. Is that Gabe is out delivering your Amazon packages.
Well, I have 2 items showing up. I hope he shows up.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, if
I need that new
if it is
HDMI
available.
cable.
If he's available, he said that he will of course want to play. But between he's got twins, and so they're like what 7 years old now. So he's got 7-year-old twins, and one of them has some health issues, and so and his wife is a nurse, a NICU nurse. So their schedules are. Man, I honestly don't know how he's kept it together for the past 7 years. It keeps him busy. So that's where Jack is. But so yeah, Jack launches the Destinex. Actually, I suppose. Now this is fine. Well, no, I'll bring up the Destinex. Oh. Just in case there is something on here that you want to look at. So Jack brings you in, and he's kind of the 13 was for him to get through the planetismals. There is a fairly tight orbit of chunks of potential future planet floating around this gas giant, and he's kind of trying to bring you into orbit around this proto gas giant. If you would like, you can make a sensors check to look at this stuff. And don't forget, because you have advanced sensors, you get a +2 to your sensors check. Sensors plus intellect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at that.
Holy
Crazy shit right
That's
there.
almost Snake Eyes.
He's looking at fucking gnats asses from fucking 5 kilometers away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only way he could screw it up is if he rolled Snake Eyes. So, so you bring it in, and you are looking at these planetismals. Now, some of these, excuse me, some of these chunks. I mean, obviously, all of this stuff, in a couple million years, and I say a couple, maybe like 100, 200 million years, is all going to kind of get together, and you can imagine that most of the stuff is going to form moons. Some of the planetesimal chunks, and it's hard to say that, maybe things will change between now and then, but some of the eccentric orbit of some of these, they will likely form into clumps, and if they maintain that orbit, what you're learning is that these will likely get thrown away from the gas giant. They could become either the moon of another planet, or they could potentially become a planet themselves. It's hard to say what will happen, in the next 400 million years. But this is what you are seeing. The other thing that you are detecting is that you are detecting... Of course you're detecting carbon. There's fucking carbon everywhere. But aside from carbon, you are detecting trace elements in the gas envelope, in the outer gas envelope, you are detecting elements that can only be produced, well, not only, but the most common way of producing these elements is through life processes. So, now, like I said, that's not. There are a small amount of other ways that these trace elements could be created. Perhaps there's something in the core, geological, that is causing these. But 9 times out of 10, when these trace amounts are discovered, it is from basically a waste gas from life. Is there anything else about this planetesimal that you, or not planetesimal, the outer edge of the orbit of this gas giant? I mean, you can launch probes, you can do whatever you want.
Well, I mean, if we're thinking that there's life, we need to at least try to identify it. Part of the exploration shit.
It's fungal.
Yeah. Send out. Well, send out a probe. Try to get a sample of the gas.
Okay.
See what's going on there.
All right. So, who wants to make a electronics remote ops plus dex check for piloting the probe? I mean, theoretically, I guess you. I guess you don't. Yeah, no. I mean, it would be remote ops plus dex. I mean, you gotta.
Yeah. Does my little buddy boy have those skills?
Let me take a look. He has no electronic skills whatsoever.
All right. Well, I have electronics, comms. So I mean, I guess I'll have a 0 in the
right
in that plus dex. So
yeah, I have a 0 in it as well, but I also have a 0 in deck. So
I have a +1 total. So
Okay.
I guess I'll do it. Give me my thing. Here we go. Launch the probe.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you launch the probe, and the probe immediately then starts sending back some telemetry data. Now, the probe, of course, you'll have to manually pick it up once you're on the ground because the probes don't have enough oomph to get off of the surface. And I'm really debating if that's true for the planet or for the proto gas giant, but it probably is true. Usually, if they land on a planet, you have to manually pick them up because they don't have the thrust capacity to get off world, and you don't want to be down a probe, obviously. But so it starts to feed back telemetry. So if Sarda wants to make another electronic sensors plus intellect check, you certainly can.
Does this also get the +2 or not, or no?
That's a really good question. I would.
It doesn't matter to me. I'll roll it without.
I would say that it probably does because I mean it's basically just extending your reach.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, 15 if this does.
Sure. So you do the probe initial information that's coming back from the probe is that there is some very simple life forms, single cell organisms that are just they're starting to become something more is what the probe is sending back.
Need to go ahead and capture some of them. Will the probe take a sample?
Sure. Yeah, the probe can take a sample. Go ahead and make a remote ops plus dex check for sampling.
Here we go.
Yeah, so you're able to take a sample, and you take an air sample, from this methane, ammonia, helium atmosphere. And so you have a sample of these microbes, and I don't even they're single cell. Yeah, I guess they are microbes. And so
that's pretty impressive.
is there anything else that you want to do, or are you ready to land?
I mean, that's I've kind of shot my wad on anything I could think we need to do, but I mean, I guess we go ahead and land.
We might want the geologist to that we've got with us to give some advice as to what to look for in terms of stable landing spots.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
So that we don't land on a vent or something. I can try running whatever sensor sweeps they recommend to try to, because I imagine this is not exactly the most stable of places to land.
So you are correct. Well, it's more stable than you might expect. So this, you're right in that the ground is not as solid and firm. There is it initially started, what the geologist is finding is that it initially started with, of course, a chunk of iron, basically. And it, similar to the planetismals, it collected crap around it. So the ground would be similar, akin to walking on loose gravel.
Okay.
But mostly, thanks to the thin atmosphere and these two gas envelopes, that is pressing down on it and kind of holding it together. So he gives Jack some recommendations on where to land, and he makes he does make the statement, you're going to want to set her down with a light touch.
Sure, I would imagine that's the case.
And so Jack is going to bring it in.
Take extra time.
That's true. He can take extra time. Give him an extra 2. Yeah, with a 19.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So
showing off at that point.
Yeah, Jack brings it in, and he, does his best to avoid these ionized gas jets, and swerves a couple of times in and out, and brings you guys through the first gas envelope. And it is a bit of a bumpy ride coming in through this first gas envelope. But then it seems like it almost feels like somebody, when you hit that second gas envelope, it almost feels like somebody hit the brakes. Like you just hit a much thicker atmosphere. And so there's a bit of a lurching motion, and Jack, was kind of anticipating this, and is able to bring it through that second gas envelope into this this weird methane ammonia helium mix, and sets the Destinex down fairly gently. I mean, with a 19, I mean, feather light touch, and sets her down. In fact, he sets her down, and it is not very far away from where the you're maybe half a click away from where the probe rested.
I guess I need to go ahead and get geared up and start headed to go get the probe.
I assume we're wearing hostile environment suits.
That's up to you guys.
I want to go as heavy as I can.
Somebody check the temperature outside, please.
That is a good question. What does it say? So here's some information that your sensors come back with. Consists of a rocky metallic core around 2,400 kilometers in diameter, about 2/3 the size of Earth's moon, but much denser. 0.21 G surface gravity. It is still accreting material and occasionally is hit by large planetesimals, so keep your eyes open. Has collected a deep but not very dense atmosphere of methane, ammonia, and helium. So Jack had to do a deep dive through this thick, soupy gas. It doesn't say. I would assume it does not. It does not say that there is really any temperature danger. I don't think the atmosphere is heavy enough for it to get that hot yet.
Right on.
Yeah, as long as everybody with any kind of science background that can do the math thinks these hazardous environment suits are enough, then yeah, I'm gonna go get the fucking drone.
Okay. So, I mean, theoretically, if you wanted to, I mean, like I said, it's a half a click away. You could hoof it, but I mean, you are in the Destinex. You, of course, have Randolph's Gecko.
Does Randolph want to drive?
I can do that.
It's his Gecko,
I mean, you could be the first person to drive a Gecko on the surface of a gas giant.
Are the tires going to melt?
No, I don't think the tires will melt.
So I assume it's dexterity and drive.
Yeah, drive wheeled plus dex.
I get a 5.
Oh shit. So Randolph is takes you guys. Are you both riding in the Gecko with Randolph?
I am. I mean, I
Yeah.
like some
Okay. So
wow.
For sure.
while you guys
We-
head
You need a drone to take our photos, to follow us around and photo everything.
right? Yeah, well, maybe
Yeah.
not this. So while you guys are out, of course, the the other scientists that you've trucked along with you, they're out, doing what they do. The geologist is out there breaking rocks and collecting samples and a number of things. But so Randolph is driving. Where did Randolph go?
It was that roll that did him in.
I guess so. Did we?
Am I gone?
Oh, yeah, you dropped out of roll 20. There you are. So Randolph's driving, and it's with 0.21 surface gravity. It is an interesting ride because the you can catch some killer air, and he comes down, and the ground kind of it feels mushy beneath him, and the gecko gets stuck and just kind of skids and slides, and part of the front wheel is kind of just buried under loose gravel. Where is my grit? There it is.
Shit, I gotta get the shovel out.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you're gonna have to unstick yourselves. So yeah, I mean,
How high is the gravity?
0.21.
All right, so we should be able to like lift this thing out.
You
We
would
all
think,
get out.
yeah.
We all get out. We can just sort of pull it out.
Yeah. So we'll lift and heave and hoe.
So here it now.
Now we have to worry about getting stuck.
Right. Hold on here. I need to find something.
Especially since I'm in an environmental suit. I'm in a hostile environment suit. I got strict 300.
I haven't seen what there is. Is the hostile environment suit 300 against rad?
It is. Hold on, I will find it.
Because if it's not much better than my vac suit, I'll probably be in my vac suit.
Here is your hostile environment suits.
It is double the rad, and we think rad's an issue. Is that correct?
Yeah, rads are potentially an issue.
Okay, yeah. So I'll be wearing that instead of my vac suit.
You also get a 100 rad buffer due to my.
Yeah, because he shot you up with anti-rads.
Sure.
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah, because the vac suit is only 100 rad.
Yeah. This gives us a total of 300. It really takes
Or
a
90.
bunch
It's
of
only
that.
90 rad. Yeah, but the advantage of my vac suit is that I have I have a tactical video suite built into it, and so I'm videotaping everything I do.
Oh boy.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah. Look, there's a lot of people back.
You're gonna put it in the entertainment library back in the ship.
Well, I imagine that some of the scientists were upset they couldn't come, and they're going to want to see everything we can bring back.
Well, they're yeah. I mean, they're pretty excited just to be doing what they're doing. I mean, almost like kids on Christmas. It's hard to get them to focus on any one thing, and so they're not overly upset. And so you guys are.
I still want the scientists to get bored, because they get bored. That's where you get some really crazy shit going down in the ship.
So, all three of you, way back when we first rolled these characters up, one of the optional characteristics that I had you roll was luck.
Yep.
Everybody roll 2d and add your luck score.
Oh boy.
Or your luck modifier, rather.
Yeah.
7.
Okay.
So what's the modifier on a 3? Is that -2?
It's -1.
It's only -1 for a 3?
Yeah, 3 to 5 is a -1.
It's great.
I got a 5.
What the heck's going on?
Just so happens to be luck is one of my best.
Okay. So, Bocephus, the three of you are lifting up on this on the front of this gecko, trying to get its front wheel unstuck. And don't forget, I believe this was it. I think it was George. So the gecko now has a gimbal mount of 2 laser rifles on the gecko. So it is armed now. I mean,
it's armed now.
Yeah,
so we can shoot fungus among us.
Yes.
We get a flamethrower on there.
All of you make a athletic strength check. If you don't have athletic strength, you can just roll 2d plus your strength modifier.
Jeez, doesn't make much difference.
Excellent. So you guys you guys are lifting up this gecko and kind of joke with one another about, oh my god, look how strong I am. You're lifting this thing up. And Bocephus, you step down and it's like you have stepped down in chewing gum.
It's that quicksand we were all raised to fear.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I remember when I was a kid. That was like our big fear. Don't go through that pond. It's got quicksand in it. No, well, I mean, not really. So, Bocephus, you step down, and at first it feels like you stepped on something obviously not rock. It's kind of mushy. And when you look down, there is this like light pale purple ooze, like in a net pattern, stuck to your leg.
Oh, that's great. We get some samples of that.
It looks a lot like this. And
it'll eat anything, huh?
Yeah, when you look down, you realize it is part of it has it like one set of tendrils is stuck to a rock, and there are quite a big chunk of it is now attached to your boot up to your knee. And then there's like another section of it that's just, every once in a while there's a wind or a breeze that kicks up, and it's floating in the wind.
I need to detach it from me.
Okay.
That's what I need to do.
What does it say about that? It says it is a gossamer fabric of fine threads.
We can try burning it off you.
Anything from 1 meter to up to 20 meters. Despite the name of driftnet, they are often encountered lying still on the surface. They filter carbon molecules, feeding their infinitesimally slow life process. So you're going to try and get this thing off of you. How are you going about that?
Shoot yourself with a flame rifle.
Flame rifle.
Oh no! I'm gonna ask Sergeant to hit it with his stunner.
Yeah, okay, I'll try that.
Okay, so
I'll draw my stunner.
Yeah, go ahead and make a. I guess that would be energy. Gun combat energy plus dex. I mean, this is going to be like an easy. Unless you roll snake eyes and then
I missed.
That's mostly if somebody unconscious.
I almost rolled snake eyes. I rolled a 1 and a 2.
Oh shit! So yeah, you zap this thing, and it. Go ahead and roll your damage. So
12 damage. 12 stun.
12. Wow. Okay. So yeah, you zap this thing, and it just immediately lets go and kind of droops back down to the ground, unconscious. Well, you don't know.
Unresponsive.
Unresponsive, right?
Can I put this in a container?
Well,
you,
yeah,
you
we
could
can certainly try.
But where it was attached to your leg, you can already see that there are like etched marks. It looks like it was feeding on the suit.
All right, so I don't know what kind of container we're going to put this thing in.
Certainly not one with carbon in it.
I guess we need to go. Let's just leave it alone.
Glass might work. That's silica based.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can I fit it in a glass?
We'll we'll try to radio the ship and try to get a glass jar to put it in.
It says equipment, vehicles, and vac suits have plenty of carbon molecules deposited on them to feed a drift net. Even without digesting the structure of the equipment, odd skin flakes from personnel who have handled the equipment represent a feast for these creatures.
Sure. I mean, this thing's been living on a planet that doesn't have a lot of carbon, so
right.
It's got to be hard up for anything it can find.
Right.
Yeah, so let's gather up what we can of this thing and bring it back to the ship and see if we can't find something made of glass to put it in.
Yeah, so you kind of wad this thing up, and it's kind of like wadding up a wacky wall walker. I don't know if you remember those when we were kids.
Yeah.
And you kind of stuff this thing into a glass beaker, and it currently is inert. But beyond that, you have gotten the gecko unstuck, and Randolph, you can make another drive wheeled plus dex check to continue on your journey.
I wish I had some dex.
Yeah, that'll do it. So you are able to, you're taking a little bit easier now that you know how easy it is to get stuck. But
I want to double check where that thing touched my suit. Do I need to patch it?
It didn't do enough to get through the suit or to cause any kind of breach, but you could definitely tell where this thing was stuck. I mean, there is a distinct pattern where this thing was stuck to your suit.
Check the tires of the vehicle.
That's not a bad idea.
They maybe have carbon in them.
We got to figure that all the grease and stuff in the axles would be, I mean, real food. That's a feast.
In the process of while you were getting the gecko unstuck and dealing with the drift net, you're now back into the truck or getting ready back into the truck, and you're kind of checking the tires. Again, it wasn't. This thing has a apparently a very slow metabolism, but again, you can see that there were parts of the front tire, the front driver's side tire, where part of this drift net had attached, and you could see that there's like a net type pattern wherever it touched, and the black of the tire has been lightened, like it fed partially on the tire. It didn't do anything more than that, but you do get a notification in that from your suits that you have all taken 300 rads.
Oh, time to go. Time to go.
Well, yeah, we can handle the 300.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
It's the 301 that
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
things suck.
Yep.
But need to get the probe and go.
Yeah, probe and go, and flame everything when we get back in. And,
So yeah,
except for the sample that
you
we're going to try to stick in a glass jar of some sort.
you drive over, you pick up
it's
the
glass lid that's going to be interesting.
so you are able to go and collect the probe, and the probe itself seems that it has been fed on. There's a drift net attached to it, and so it takes you a little bit of time to get this drift net off. And but aside from that, the probe is okay. You've got one of these drift nets. Potentially, I mean, it's Schrodinger's drift net. You're not sure. It could both be alive and dead at the same time, in a sample case. And you are heading back towards the ship, and you are getting a radio message in, but it is all kinds of staticky.
That makes sense. Clean that shit up.
Okay, go ahead and make a comms plus electronics comms plus intellect or education check.
Give me a second. I got to take the other pizza out of the oven.
Okay.
No worries. Good thing you remembered.
7.
So yeah, you are having a really rough time getting this comms to clear up, but it sounds like it's not a distress call, but you can pick up that there's some kind of urgency.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna hustle back to the ship.
Yeah. Get it. Drive us, Randall.
Okay, so Randall kind of he's still being careful because it's not going to serve you any better if you get stuck again, and so he picks up the pace a little bit, but he's still being fairly careful, and it gets you guys back to the ship. You have seen that the scientists are no longer outside the ship. They are not out,
the radiation
samples.
levels.
And as you get closer, the comms kind of clear up a little bit, and the message coming in is that there has been some kind of the reason why you took that 300 rads is, I mean, normally down here you'd be looking at about 150 rads. It has jumped. It had doubled that. There was some kind of solar flare activity.
Okay.
And they as you get into the airlock and kind of go through decon, your internal comms come on. The geologist tells you that there was indeed he says there was a solar flare activity, and we're having a difficult time, but it sounds like there's been a signal GK possibly coming from the pinnace that was headed for the plumes.
That makes sense. All right. Well, once we've gone through decontamination, get on the radio there, and let's see if we can't.
We can't help the pinnace right now. It's going the other way. The
Right.
Deepnight is the closest destination to anything, and we need to have our ship run diagnostics and anything else. If we're able to communicate to the Deepnight, maybe have them prep another scout ship to fly. One that's been docked this whole time. Yeah.
We'll start heading back, but I mean, it's gonna.
Okay.
Timing wise, maybe.
Yeah. So
yeah, we have DNA samples of all those people, I think.
So Jack lifts you guys off. It is a bit of a rough and bumpy ride getting out of here. He didn't roll as he didn't roll as good as he normally does, and it is quite the rough and tumble getting back up out of the atmosphere. But
I did an 8 power check.
Okay, so yeah, you are able to kind of At some point, you have to like actually throw a little bit more power into the maneuver drive for Jack, but he gets you clear of the
I'll go over the vehicle with a flame rifle.
Okay.
No,
Might as well.
yeah.
It's a good preventative.
You two are busy, but I'll just make sure that nothing's sticking to the undercarriage.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, you do find some more of these drift nets on the undercarriage. They don't. It doesn't seem like there's any particular part of the vehicle that they like more than another, but they are just stuck to it. And so
We need to get the engineers to come down here and take this vehicle apart and then put it back together again.
So I mean, yeah, you go through and you I mean, it's not like they're stuck inside, but there is the drift net. The drift net's everywhere, and so you're spending some time cleaning it off. But Bocephus, you are you see what the scientists were saying is that it does appear that there is a signal GK coming in. Do you want to make another comms plus intellect check? Or
Gonna go ahead and inspire myself.
Okay.
I mean, I got to break myself out of this fucking slump, you know. Yeah, I believe that'll give me a +2 on my next roll.
Yeah.
To do these comms, which will
So,
ironically be a +4. So my comms roll ends up being a 10.
okay.
Which
So,
I guess.
So don't forget, there's a -2, so it actually comes out to 8, but that's okay. So you are able to kind of cut through the background noise, and I mean this entire trip, you guys have maybe only been on the surface for a couple of hours. You weren't down here for very long, obviously because of radiation. You couldn't stay too long. But what you are picking up is that indeed the pinnace was almost directly hit by this the solar flare. They are sending out, the power is down, and they are in a catastrophic spiral, and estimated that in the next 20 hours they're going to spiral into one of the gas plumes.
And let me guess, we're the only ship that has a chance on doing anything about it.
Yeah, what's our ETA to be able to get to them? 19 hours?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at thrust 4, yeah, roughly 18, 19 hours.
Perfect.
But you are picking up another set of comm traffic.
Well, we definitely want to listen to that.
So go ahead and make another comms plus, and you get to add your awareness to it as well.
Oh, cool! I'm still inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't really need it, but it still fucking rolls in great, looking good with a good number.
So
as I'm zoning in, spending, I'm gonna go ahead and use another psi point just to fucking, because you gave me 2 rolls. That's called a compromise.
Okay. So the other set of comm traffic that you are picking up is that evidently somebody has taken one of the Deepnight ship's boats, unauthorized.
What the fuck?
And have left Revelation, heading towards the pinnace.
It's the super guy.
Who the hell did that? Well, no, we've got him with us.
Right.
We took him with us. We know it's not him. So
Somebody likes the lieutenant.
That leaves his girlfriend, maybe.
I mean, we need to head in that direction. Post maximum speed.
So both ships are in distress, evidently, right?
No. The ship's boat has left. and unauthorized, and is heading towards the pinnace that is in distress. The ship's boat is perfectly fine so far.
And did it look like it left in response to the emergency, or it left before the emergency?
No, it left in response.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a little more logical. All right.
Maybe you could get a sensors lock on the distressed ship.
Yeah.
I mean, it just gives us more information on what's going on. I mean,
Sure.
and lets us shoot it if we need to better. So
I don't think we're gonna need to shoot it.
maybe not, but it'll send off.
So-
It'll let them know that we see them.
Yeah. So why don't you radio that ship and let them know that we're en route,
Okay.
Yeah.
and convey whatever information we can. I got a 13 with my sensors check.
I will. Yeah. I'll say we're coming on in. We're going to maintain a lock on the pinnace.
We're at full thrust, heading to help.
To you. Who is on this boat with the unauthorized excursion?
So it is Chandra has taken the ship's boat, and she tells you, she says, well, nobody on they were discussing what to do, and meanwhile Sub-Lieutenant Venati is out there in the pinnace in distress. She
Right.
said, I just took things into my own hands and took the ship's boat.
You wouldn't want a pilot with you to do this,
Well,
Yeah. right? Yeah,
It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not really a skilled pilot, we really need you to power down that boat and just get it the fuck out of the way and let us kind of gather you in. We're on the way. We have it under control.
So, where do you have Mayak?
on our ship.
Right, but I mean, where? I mean,
with-
Right. I mean, he's probably
Shadowing the doctor.
Yeah,
Of course, he's right there.
he's
oh,
kind
of
of
course.
right here.
So he starts to basically come unglued that Chandra is not unglued, but he is definitely on edge. That Chandra is now out there in a ship's boat, possibly in danger during a high activity with.
So she couldn't have gotten that far.
No.
She probably can return to the ship, and a skilled crew could get on that ship and go attempt to rescue faster than we can get to them. And so I think that's what we should try to do, is convince her to return so that a highly skilled emergency response team can go, rather than an engineer who doesn't know, is not a great pilot.
Okay, so do you have leadership?
She has postpartum depression.
From having the embryo removed.
Well, I mean, first let's contact the Deepnight and see if we can't get a response team ready to go in that pinnace.
Okay, so they radio back. Deepnight contacts you and says that they already had a emergency response team getting ready, that were boarding.
Okay.
They were
Perfect.
boarding another ship's boat, and because they were on standby for exactly such a situation. And but then Chandra jumped in the boat and took things into her own hands.
Yep.
Yeah,
I knew we should have sent them back. I knew we should have. Well, we had to talk to her, so we got to try to talk her down.
Yeah. So tell her to power down and
tell them to send their team, and then let's contact her and let's try to convince her to.
That's
turn
what I'm
it
trying
around.
to do. I'm trying to contact her and see what the fuck, if she's going to respond, or we're going to have to talk her into what.
So does somebody have leadership?
Yeah. Do I? No, I don't. I have persuade. I have diplomacy.
I do not have leadership.
I do.
Oh.
So Randolph, what if you want, you can make a leadership plus soc check.
You are the social expert of us. You are a knight, right? Or close to.
5.
So
I blew it.
so her response is,
I
no,
hope not.
don't worry, guys, I got this.
All right,
I'm gonna respond without being a leader. I'm just gonna say you do not have this. You're to return to the Deepnight so that a trained crew can respond. You are a single individual who is not not a certified pilot. You have stolen a vehicle. You need to return.
Okay. So you can make a persuasion check, and you get a boon with that. So roll 3 and take the 2 highest.
Yeah, your presence out there is preventing a trained response team from reacting. And
you're doing actions to make me think that you're an unfit mother, and perhaps you shouldn't have your zygote turn to you.
I like this much better. Look at that house is rolling with boon now. That's great.
That is nice.
Yeah, this is a nice improvement.
So yeah, you she begrudgingly acknowledges, and you can see that her ship's boat is kind of swinging around in a sloppy manner because she is a shit pilot, but she is heading back to Revelation.
I'm going to send a message to Revelation to have a security team apprehend her and place her under arrest until she can be debriefed at a later time.
Okay.
Yeah. And have that rescue team go if they've got a ship.
Yeah, the rescue team is on their way.
2 months. She can sit in brig for 2 months before we debrief her.
Oh well, you know. I can make use of her.
I think we follow protocol, because if you don't follow protocol, it's bad morale for everybody.
Yeah, frontal lobotomies for everybody.
So
and both just can do it all in one night.
So the SARS team gets out, and they're no problem. They are headed for the pinnace. They radio you and tell you to not worry about it. They're going to have this taken care of. Their pilot, much better pilot. I mean, almost.
Yo, Joe.
Yeah, almost as good as Jack, and not quite, but
head out.
Almost.
I think we still want to head there, just in case they need help.
Okay.
As backup, just since it's going to take 18 hours for us to get there,
right?
We might as well make the effort, because if something goes wrong, then we're at least able to maybe help out.
Yeah, you could probably meet them halfway. So.
Yeah. If they succeed, that's great. But we're going to continue on our course.
Yeah.
Just double checking something.
I'm gonna feed that embryo to the fucking drift net.
Drift net's gonna be a new pet. So, excuse me. Wrong direction.
Anybody want a piece of pizza?
Oh, I would love it.
You are a cruel man.
Yeah, I know somebody who would agree with you.
I had a Frito boat for lunch. I've already eaten bad today.
So this is Friday night, so I can have pizza and ice cream.
Nice.
So the SARS boat gets out there, and they don't have any problem. They are able to basically they just bring that boat up and nudge the pinnace out, and one of their guys.
They're all dead.
Does a spacewalk over to the pinnace and boards, with the idea that they are going to basically try and get this thing up and running.
Right.
And it's going to take him a little bit of time to get power up and running. But they've at least nudged it out of the danger zone, so it is now more or less just floating. The two ships are floating helplessly, but they can now dock with one another. They're not
right.
They're not in danger of floating into
not a decaying orbit.
Yeah, they're not a decaying orbit into a gas plume. So. So, you at thrust 4, Jack is making really good time. About 7 hours goes by, and you are able to essentially meet them about halfway. And let me. Fuck. Yeah, they're having a really hard time getting the engines back up and running. They are wanting. They're radioing. The SARS team is radioing you guys, wanting to know if you can assist with a tow package.
Can we?
Sure, I've got a pinky and a middle-sized toe. I could get off this guy here, my little boy here. He said he'd give up 2 toes.
So this is the pinnace.
Is there any equipment? Are they take an inventory of what needs to be replaced? Is there a? Can we possibly replace?
Well, he says that it looks like the the EM pulse from that solar activity just blew out their maneuver drive.
Oh, gotcha.
Or rather, the power plant, and so they are in the process of, at this point, because he doesn't think that out here for makeshift repairs, he doesn't think that he can get it up and running, and so they are in the process of transferring everybody over to the ship's boat. Now, this is the Deepnight pinnace is a 60-ton streamlined craft with radiation shielding, which is what made it perfect for this mission, up to a point. And this is the Deepnight boat, which is only 20 tons. So even with thrust 4, a 20-ton boat trying to pull a 60-ton boat.
Yeah, sure. But they can get the personnel off, so that's good.
Right, yeah. And there should be, for a short run back to the ship, it's going to be crowded, but they should be able to make it work. So yeah, the ship's boat, SARS team is radioing you, wanting to know if you can assist with a tow.
Yeah, we can assist with a tow. We're on the way.
Okay.
That's what we're going to end up doing anyway.
Do we need to do anything to the ship ahead of time so that we can tow stuff?
You shouldn't need to. I mean, I would think that I would think that in your cargo, in addition to the Gecko, you probably have things like, not necessarily, labeled tow cables, but you've got stuff that you can use for towing.
So does my assistant have vac suit skills?
That's a really good question. Let's see.
He has an eclectic package of skills. He's actually a pilot, if I recall.
He is. He's a small craft pilot. He could pilot the. Oddly enough, he could have piloted the ship's boat.
Yeah, but now we're to the point where we have to, can he put on a vac suit?
Yes, he has vac suit at 0.
All right, so he needs to go ahead and get vacked up and get ready to go out there and hook the cables up.
Okay. Oh, you're going to send him out? Okay.
Under supervision, of course, but he needs to get his hands on some stuff, and the way he gets experience is he's got to get out there and do some stuff.
Okay.
Be a life-growing experience, and don't worry, we've already got your child. It's frozen. It's safe. So I mean, your legacy will continue on.
The mother of your kid is in the brig.
Well, but she's not floating dead outside.
Yeah. It could be worse. So
she's not in direct harm's way.
So you said under supervision. Is anybody going out with him, or?
I'll go out with him because I'm probably the least.
I might shoot.
Needed. I'm probably the least needed during this operation.
I'll be Jack for the moment. I'll shoot him.
Okay, so
unless you need me to constantly scan the sun for solar flares, but I don't know if that works.
So I mean, if we can see these flares coming, that is definitely where you should be. I mean,
all right.
I'll go supervise and make sure that I'll go watch him do whatever. Right. We'll provide. Yeah, we'll do tethering protocols.
So yeah, I'll be running scans of the sun, and I'll get a couple of the scientists that the planetologists or whatever to basically tell me what to look for in terms of solar flares.
So yeah, I mean, you take a step out, and I mean, you guys have done spacewalks before, but when you and Mayak step out onto the, and of course you've got your cable attached. It
Might need another injection. It's been hours since the last.
That's true, but you only want to do one every 24 hours. Well, it might be. Well, it's getting probably close.
It's been 18.
Yeah, it's been probably close. So
All the reason to hurry.
yeah,
Hurry up.
yeah. So you guys step out, and you, like I said, you've done spacewalks before, but this feels different. The space feels turbulent, almost like you can feel like you're getting buffeted by these solar winds. Hey, look at that. Mayak is doing fantastic. Sarda, go ahead and make a vac suit plus dex check.
I'm actually on sensors. We changed.
Oh, you.
It's Bocephus that's now outside.
Oh, okay. So Bocephus.
I'm scanning the sun just to try to see if there's a possibility that we're about to get another blast.
So Bocephus make a vac suit plus dex check, and Sarda make a electronic sensors plus intellect or education check.
14 for me. I added the 2, so it's a 12 if I don't get to add the 2 for the ship's sensors.
8.
Okay. So you just got it, and you are able to step out. And I mean, Mayak looks like he's making this look easy, and he is like 3 steps ahead of you, and he's already tying off the tow package, and has moved, in a safe range to the rear of the ship. So he hasn't, nobody's communicated it to him, but he looks like he's ready that, once Jack brings the Desinex closer and whips it around, he's thinking he's going to jump off and float over to this pinnace and hook up the tow cables.
Perfect. I'm sure as fuck gonna let him do it. That's what he's here for.
So Sarda, you're looking at the sensors, and instead of seeing a nice uniform star like you should be seeing, this thing's like all over the place, and there is shit coming off of it, and it's having a temper tantrum.
Okay, well, I can pull the information in, but I don't know that I will know. I don't know that I know enough about suns to know what it is I'm looking for in terms of danger. So I probably am bringing in one of the couple scientists that we brought with us.
That's a good idea.
To have them basically tell me if it looks stable or not, or should we get these guys inside the ship, or
Yeah.
How far away from the sun are we?
So this would probably fall under.
Since we're not in a rush situation anymore, we're not in a situation where this boat's going to fall into the sun or into a danger. We can time it based on stability of the sun.
I would say this probably falls under space sciences.
Sure.
So do we know how far from the sun we are?
Well, you're not as far as you'd like to be. Because they were
Ejections from the sun are not speed of light. So
the pinnace was close enough. The pinnace was close enough that they were trying to get a sample of the gas jets that are basically. It's almost like Old Faithful. Every 18 to 20 hours, it shits out from the poles.
Right.
These gas plumes. Well, this last time, the whole star kind of went partially egg-shaped for a while, and now it's contracting back into a sphere, and so it's throwing off, sunspots and, great plumes of plasma, and it's out of control. And so because they were close enough to get a sample from the gas plumes, they're a lot closer than anybody would really like. And
yeah, they got a really good sample.
And on the surface, Bocephus, you're looking at Mayak, who's got the tow package and he's ready to jump over, and he's clearly not paying attention. But Bocephus, your internal readout, you're seeing your temperatures going up as you're getting closer.
I'm just kind of duck back inside,
Just leave this guy out here.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just gonna stay just inside the little lock area, and he's tethered off,
Well, you might want to warn him about the heat.
Well, you'd think, but I'll tell him, hey man, it's check your measure, check your readouts on your suit now.
So the space sciences guy, I don't know his name. He's space sciences guy. Rick, yes. He's looking at your sensor rating, and he says, "Oh yeah, there's going to be another solar flare, and if it misses us, it's going to be a very narrow one."
Everybody get inside. We got a solar flare coming. And so I just radioed everybody in right now. Get back inside.
So Bocephus already said he was heading inside. Let me roll for Mayak. Ooh, that's not good for Mayak. So Mayak is coming inside, and the solar flare goes off. He is not going in as quickly as you would generally like.
This is how you get superpowers.
Well, this gives me something to work on,
Hulk smash.
This is great.
My reading of comics tells me that this is how you get superpowers.
This is how you get superpowers, right?
Of course, the bad side of him not being fast enough is it means our door is hypothetically open.
Oh, I'm not opening it until he gets to it. I mean...
Yeah,
There's no reason to leave the door open.
So, it's...
I'm very much in self-preservation. I think I'm more important than him.
Ooh, okay.
You think?
I hope.
Uh-oh.
I mean, really, I took him as an assistant so he could get hurt and I could operate on him and do things.
He's got 300 rats.
Yeah, so I mean, he's putting himself out there like a champ. So he's worth operating on.
I don't see how we can't really blame his girlfriend for his death here.
But we will.
So Jack, kind of, you can see this. It doesn't even. It's hard to explain what a solar flare of this size looks like unless you've seen it. So, like recently, within, I want to say like the past month, maybe month and a half. I don't know if you saw the videos of that solar flare that came off of our own star, but it was a major. It was an X-class solar flare, and they were actually kind of worried. That one kind of made everybody's asshole pucker because they thought that there was a potential that our power grid was going to shit over that. And it literally looks like part of the star just kind of burps and comes off and is thrown at the planet.
We do have a bit of time as that's coming at us. Is
Right.
there a chance that we can maneuver the ship to block it?
Right, and that's what Jack does. So he sees this blob of star coming at him, and Jack swings around. I'm going to say that it cuts down Mayak's rads by half,
That's good.
but
So,
Mayak is still going to take around 600 rads.
Oh, hell yeah.
Good thing we got that embryo on ice.
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
That may
yeah.
have been his one shot.
So,
We
yeah,
may have to
because
clone him. You gonna clone him?
I don't know what I'm going to do to him yet. I got to wait to see what's wrong with him first.
He's gonna clone him one way or another. It's there regardless.
Eventually.
I haven't really read up too much on rad damage.
so
However, I believe that's -6 to all rolls if you're taking 600 rads.
it is well, I'll
Or
tell you.
worse.
I'll tell you. Let me pull him up. I don't even know if he's going to survive this. So, where is my calculator? So,
His suit will block 200 of it.
right.
I think the shot we took is gone because that only lasts an hour, right? That rad shot.
That's a good question. It says it just says once per day. So
Oh, okay.
So
that's
yeah,
300.
it says you can either it can be administered before or immediately within 10 minutes after radiation exposure. So he will need another shot, but let's see here. So
He needs, first thing we need to do is
well, actually, so yeah, that's right.
transfuse what is it? His blood needs to be replaced.
So with Jack's good piloting, he was going to take half of the 1100, and so then he's going to eat 200 from his suit. So that puts him at actually 40 damage, not 6.
Oh, there we go.
Oh shit! He still comes up 17. That poor bastard. I'm sorry, Mike. The universe hates you.
Is he gone?
Well,
17 points is a lot of damage.
Does the suit take any damage?
Well, the suit's deflecting a lot of it.
Mayek's comm goes dark. So, Bocephus, you can make a medic plus intellect or education check.
Okay. I can do that.
I can come down and help drag. That can come down and help pull
So
the
with a
tether back in.
So with a 12, you well, I mean, the obvious thing is he is still alive, but to put it into stats, he has no endurance, he has no strength, and he's down to 4 decks. He is unconscious, floating at the end of his tether line, which is hooked to the safety rail outside the airlock, and he is unconscious, free floating. Tethered. You are detecting that how much was it? He took 450 rads for 40 damage. He is going to have no hair. he will have hair loss.
Well, good. We need to get him inside.
We won't have any more kids. No more kids.
Gonna go ahead and bring in.
You need help? You need help bringing him in?
I mean, he's kind of weightless. I just kind of pull the rope, right?
That's true.
Well,
yeah. Open the door and reel him in.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Just kind of open
like
the door
fishing
and reel
for
him
idiots.
in. Yeah. What am I gonna do?
So you open the airlock and reel him in, and you're looking at, as the airlock opens and you're bringing him in, and you can see that there is pitting along the outer hull of the ship, where this blob of star kind of narrowly scraped along the side, which unfortunately it scraped Mayek off. But you bring him in, his suit looks awful, and you realize this could have been a lot worse. But like the faceplate of his helmet is actually crazed from.
We may all have problems here, because I'm reading that the hull of a spacecraft decreases the radiation exposure of those inside by 500.
Right, and
We all just got what, 600 rads?
well, if the hull of the ship eats 500, that means you only took 100.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, Maya being outside, that was unfortunate for him. But yeah, you real. Sorry,
Good
guys.
call in putting him outside.
So yeah,
So,
you bring Mayak back in. Why is this? And he is in dire need of medical assistance.
gonna go ahead and you know, get him into the med bay.
I don't think does.
If I can, I got to stabilize
I
him.
don't think we have a med bay.
Yeah, you don't have a med bay, but I mean you've got a laboratory, so that'll do.
Yeah, bring him in the laboratory.
Okay.
It's a great place. Yeah.
Yeah, you can check his sperm count. It's going to be low.
Gonna be non-existent.
He won't
He's
need
had one
it.
in
He doesn't need it anymore. It's okay.
Yeah. He has a child. He doesn't need it anymore.
Go ahead and make a go ahead and make a medic plus intellect or well, medic plus education. And are you administering anti-rads?
I think the downsides of doing it under a short. I think the upsides are better than the downsides.
I mean, I don't want to hurt him yet until, I mean, he needs to make it a couple more hours, I think, before I can give it to him again.
Okay.
Without hurting him.
So go ahead.
Go ahead. It'd be a permanent in damage of a die 6 per dose.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna roll the dice without giving him anti-rads right now. I'm gonna try to string him out till he can get past that 24-hour mark. As his physician, I think it's worth the risk.
Okay.
The downside is I don't see how to get rid of radiation other than the anti-rad.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
And those only work immediately after being exposed.
So
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm gonna have fun with this guy. He's gonna be great. I've got samples of stuff to try to fix him with. It's maybe bond him back together with some netting.
He won't need a nightlight.
Yeah.
So, anybody want ice cream?
That brings his dex back to full. His strength is at 3. His endurance is still 0. He is still unconscious. He's going to require surgery.
I'll be happy to give it to him as soon as I get back to the Deepnight Revelation. Joyfully, Bocephus will get on the comms and prepare the med bay for emergency surgery.
Okay, go ahead and make a comms plus intellect check
As a
or
happy man.
education.
Somebody wants some ice cream.
Nice.
Wow, 14. I'm
So-
too overjoyed to be put down by simple skill checks.
So you have Mayak secured in a bunk, and you rush back up to the bridge, jump onto comms. As soon as Jack hears that you're going to have to rush him in for surgery, Jack floors it. And,
we still need to tow this thing.
Right. So So here's your decision. You can either leave this for the SAR team, and hopefully they can get the power plant back online, or you can continue the tow operations.
Do we have a low berth?
I can. You guys hook it up.
Good question.
Well,
If we have a low berth, throw them in the low berth. But if we don't,
it's an endurance check to come out of the low berth.
no, it's a medic check for you to roll, and it'll be trivial for you. I don't think you could fail it, frankly.
I don't think it does have low. I don't think this one has low berths.
All right, well, guess we're just
I
gonna
can
risk
keep
it.
him alive. Hook that thing up and get the job done. We need our medals.
Yeah, we need the ship. We need the ship.
Okay.
Get it done. I'll keep him alive. I'll stay down here with him and probe and
So
You know.
I'll get with the planetologist and we'll try to analyze the sensor data until we get a moment that looks like it's going to create a window for us to do this.
Okay, so
Which is, I assumed what we would have done the first time, but I guess we didn't. So
go ahead and make another sensors plus intellect check. Nice. So he estimates that there will be, and he says, I'm roughballing it here, but we're probably looking at anywhere from another 6 to 15 hours between or for the next event.
So we could do it right now?
Yeah.
Okay,
let's
go
if
hook
we're
it
going to
up.
do it, now's the time to do it.
So I'll go out there. I'll go.
Are you going, or is Randolph up for a spacewalk?
What do we have to roll?
So it would be vac suit. Well, it's going to be 2 rolls: vac suit plus dex, and then a mechanic plus dex check.
I'm +1 on both.
Yep.
Can you beat that?
I am vac suit plus dex. I have a +2 in vac suit plus dex and mechanic.
You're the guy.
Dex, I have a 1 for that.
Yeah, you're the guy. Be sure and say the magic words like, I tether off and shit.
Yeah. No, I have a +2 mechanic and dex. So yeah, I have a 2 in both. All right, so here we go. We're vac suiting out there.
Yep.
It's a 9.
Nice. So yeah, you hook off and you make your way across, and as you're going across, you can see what Bocephus was talking about. That there's pitting on the outside of the ship where this thing scraped along.
And a 14 on the mechanic. That's a boxcars.
So Jack is able to bring the Desnex fairly close. So you were able to you don't even have to jump. You were able to reach across and hook it up, and the other SARS member kind of meets you and helps you attach the tow cable. And the SARS member calms you, through the static. You can hear that he says, "So I understand you've got an injury aboard."
We do. One of our folks was walking when they got hit with another gas flare, solar flare.
He hooks off to the tow line and just shoves off and slides across the tow line back over to the Desnex and lands next to you. And he says, "Well, no point in me going back to the boat. I'm going to ride back with you guys. I think we're in a hurry."
Yeah. So let's.
So go ahead and make another vac suit plus dex check.
6. It's not good.
Well, you're tied off, so it's a routine check.
Okay. That's good.
The SARS guy, he unhooks from the tow line, and he hooks to your belt. That way, you're tied off, then he's tied off to you. So
that way, we both go spinning off of the
right, and then you can all flop around like a fish on the line. But you guys are able to make your way back into the airlock and get back aboard, sans any other major issues. And Jack looks over at Randall, looks over at Randolph over his shoulder, and he says, "Are they aboard?"
Yeah, we're good.
And
good.
And Jack,
punch it, boy.
Jack floors it, full thrust 4, with a 14, and you're in the airlock, and you kind of push against the bulkhead for a second as this thing goes under full thrust, getting out of there. So, Bocephus, make another medic plus or medic plus education check.
Okay.
Nice. So you have a scary moment where Mayak flatlines, but you are able to bring him back, and you're kind of looking at the clock, and you're like, okay, we need to somehow we need to get there faster, or else, you don't know how many more times you can do this.
Oh, yeah, well, it'll be fine. I trust that everybody's already in a hurry. There's no reason to stress them out. Everybody knows everything's important. I'm just going to focus on medical attention.
So, yeah, you are focusing on keeping Mayak alive, and after so many hours, Jack is able to bring the Destinex back to the Revelation, and there is an emergency medical team waiting to get you down to the med bays. Make one more medic plus education check. You get to make this with a +2.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. So you are able. The surgery goes by without. Well, I would say without a hitch, but that's not necessarily true. So Mayak is all kinds of messed up.
Yeah.
So basically, his internal organs are cooking themselves as you're doing the surgery. But you are able to essentially save him. He is in the critical ICU unit, hooked up to all manner of machines. And should he be able to get out of the ICU, he will permanently lose 3 endurance.
I'm going to have to go ahead and try to cook him up some new organs.
Cook him up some new organs.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, you can certainly try to do that.
Yeah. That'll be as soon as that'll start being one of my things is to build him better.
Better, faster, stronger, but you don't want to spend too much money.
Well, I've got species of DNA to try to splice, and I've got things to do to this man to make him a formidable assistant.
Okay, so
New brain.
that was a pretty eventful mission. So, who wants to do a dress down of Chandra?
I don't think we really need to. I think we just bring her into the medic bay.
show her Mayak.
Yeah, I think that's going to be enough. But I mean, obviously, whatever the captain feels punishment-wise, she gets. But I don't think we need to dress her down at any point.
So she comes into the med bay and, of course, sees Mayak in the plastic tent, and the hose is all plugged into him, and she breaks down. And so she is kind of on the floor, or next to him, staying as close as possible to him.
I'll tell her that
I don't know if we had this, but there is a radiation emergency applicator that doesn't cause permanent in damage if you use it in combination with anti-rad.
Yeah.
It does. It reduces. I don't know if we have them or not.
I would say that you would undoubtedly have them.
It reduces it by a d6 times 10. The radiation is reduced by a d6 times 10, so up to 60 more rad reduced. I mean, it's probably not that big a difference.
Yeah.
But it means that you do. It says that there is a severe vomiting that occurs as a result of taking.
Well, I mean that's bound to happen anyways.
Yeah, and that if you take it in combination with the anti-rad, it's even more vomiting.
I'm going to tell her. I told him to come in, but he was so distracted by the fact that you were out there that he paused, and that is why he got hit. This is all your fault, totally.
She is just beside herself.
Yeah. I don't know how to ever ever recover from this.
So, everybody gets.
She grabs a scalpel and
Everybody's going to get 1 XP point.
One.
That you can spend any way you want. I mean, there was a lot of vac suit and driving going on, so maybe you might throw it into those.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that can help clear radiation. It looks like it's a permanent thing you get for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
By the way, I mean we were at 300, which is technically the limit we could take. Do we get any as a result of that, or?
So yeah, you took an additional 100 over that. So
Okay.
you had nausea. It would have been
Well, I mean,
5 points of
radiation,
damage.
but it's not just 5 points damage. We all would effectively gain 100 radiation for the rest of our careers.
Correct. Yeah. So under your rads, you can put down. You have 100.
Well, I'd like to vomit a bunch, so I'd like to at least get the anti-rad thing.
Can I try to regenerate to get rid of the?
Yeah.
rats?
What page is that anti-rad on?
It's in the Central Supply catalog. Let me find it again. Under medical stuff, because I was sitting there going, how do we get
page 92?
Something like that? Yeah, I was searching the CSC by radiation, and so there's a lot of hits. Needless to say.
No, it's just under. That was just the
radiation emergency applicator. It is page 95.
Oh, I was close. Let's see. Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah, so, yeah. So,
it's another D6. So it's 2d6 minutes of vomiting, dry heaving, and permanent reduction of dex and in by 1 for each additional dose. Okay, so we don't want any additional doses.
Yeah, so it is going to eat up, let's see, 1d times 10 rad reduction. So it's going to eat up another 40 rads.
So that puts us at 60.
Yes.
And can I just simply use anti-rads tomorrow to eat up the other?
It doesn't
60?
work that way.
Yeah,
it does not work that
way. It has to be before or immediately 10 minutes after.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Our characters permanently have 60 rads for the rest of our career. That's why I was trying to see if there was anything that would reduce it.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Yeah, Mayek's vomiting out of his eyes, but you know.
No, he's just bleeding out of his eyes.
Yes, and his nose, his fingernails,
his ears.
His toenails are popping off like pogs.
I've got him in a chemically induced coma right now.
That's probably for the best, yeah.
Yeah.
Still bleeding.
Yeah, we'll work on him.
Just wait until that sunburn peels.
All right. I want to go ahead and because I've got a 0 in all these sciences. I want to go ahead and give myself a 1 then, a 0 to a 1 in genetics.
Okay. So, actually, so genetics would be life science. What are your other science skills?
That would be the medic, biology, chemistry, psionic, ecology, cybernetics,
you have
psychology.
You have biology and genetics, right? And you have psioncology?
Yes.
And do you have xenology?
No.
Okay. So, if you want, just go ahead and combine biology, genetics, and psioncology to life sciences.
Okay, now my psioncology is at a 2 and my biology is at a 1. Do you just want me to be a 2 at all this or just a 1?
Well, it would be a 2 in all of it, But if you're going to put another one into genetics, well, just make it 3. But you can't have
Okay.
anything over 4.
All right. So life sciences.
So are you doing the old style traveler then, where there's 4 categories of science?
Yeah, I'm on page 46 of Companion Update 2024.
And I haven't
and
downloaded the
so
update yet.
it's under it's what you had pointed me to about broad skills for science. So basically, they've got life sciences, physical sciences, robotic sciences, social sciences, and space sciences. And so rather than doing this for each individual one, because I mean, honestly, that could get ridiculously crazy with the number of sciences that are out there. So for the most part, all of these can fit under these categories, and they kind of all play. I mean, with the exception of maybe Scientology, they kind of all play into one another.
I mean, that's the old traveler just had 4 science skills, right? Or
And,
so that's
this has 5 or
well.
5.
But
So.
the way this works is you get a 0 in the other ones, and you get your skill and your specific specialization. They're not all lumped together as one skill, but that's fine if you're going to do it that way.
I think that it works better if we just go life sciences. You have 3. So what do you have in? You have chemistry, right?
Yes.
Do you have physics?
I have a 1 in chemistry. I have no physics.
Okay, so then you would have physical sciences 1.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to train space sciences to 0 after this harrowing event.
Sure.
So physical sciences is 1.
And then you have cybernetics or robotics.
Yes. As 1.
So is this
Then
in the
your
companion?
robotic sciences would be 1.
Okay.
Is this in the companion?
Yeah.
He's even simplifying it beyond even the companion too.
Yeah. And then you have
The companion has these categories.
You have psychology, right?
Yes.
What's your psychology at?
1.
So then you would have social sciences 1.
Okay.
And so then Sarda would have space sciences 0.
Yeah, I just trained that to space sciences as 0.
And so
I had no science before.
So under space sciences, that covers astronomy, cosmology, and planetology. So
Yep.
Perfect.
I just put space.
Yeah, just space is fine.
I haven't downloaded the new companion yet.
Yeah, I highly recommend. I mean, it's pretty much exactly the same as the original companion, with the addition that they did put in vectoring for space combat, which I am absolutely not. I've played that game, and I am not going to get into that again because it is.
Yeah. It gets a little hairy.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need it. You don't need it if it's 1-on-1, right? I mean, if it's 2 ships, there's no need for vectoring.
That's the way that's the way.
Because 2 ships is a flat plane. It's only really gets there where it's multiple ships that all of a sudden you're now dealing with multiple planes of
right. And for the most part, what I found with vectoring is that it removes a lot of that space opera feel from the game. Instead, it's more like playing DOS boot. You're way out. You're usually you can't even see your enemy. You're waiting for missiles to reach, and it just starts to get a little draggy. Is the way
I say, when it's 1-on-1 ship versus ship, which is the typical, you don't need to worry about it.
Right. Exactly.
It's only when more than one ship gets involved that all of a sudden 3-dimensional space becomes more of an issue.
Right. Yeah, fleet tactics and things of that manner. So, all right. So you guys all got 1 XP point, and we will pick this up next week at 7 o'clock on Friday night.
Yeah, cool.
Are we starting off in Jump or something next week? Or we?
Yes. We will be starting in Jump and moving on to the next leg. And of course, while you're in that Jump, we will also be picking up, some of the research that I mean, you've got this DriftNet that you can examine and study, so you can learn more about the DriftNets and what was it eating. So that will all be made available, now that Sarda has space sciences and you've got life sciences. I'm sure the 2 of you can figure something out. and learn a little bit more about drift nuts.
In terms of punishment, I mean, I'm sure that, I mean, this is now the I mean, I imagine the captain's throwing a book at her on this one.
He's
I mean, she already had a minor violation that he had to intervene on, and now she's stolen a ship in the middle of a rescue operation. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest we put her in low berth until as needed.
Well, on the flip side of all of that, yes. I mean, the captain's view on this is that yes, she did all of that. You're right, and he is the XO is fucking pissed, but even the XO can admit that she did it for the right reasons. She thought that she was helping.
And you know that same stuff is talked about in the Mein Kampf and everything. I mean, your intentions don't mean anything if your results are bad.
Well,
and her decision-making process sucks.
Put her under house arrest and make her nurse her.
She's a liability, yeah.
House arrest with her nursing him back to help.
I can graft her lips to his ass and they can just become species.
So, we will pick up that discussion of grafting lips to asses next week, and and I will see you guys on Friday night at 7:00.
All right, have a good.
You too. I will see you tomorrow, Wes.
Yeah.
How do you enter this stuff into this and get this special rolling thing?
So, in your upper right-hand corner, the third option from the left is the journal. And under characters, if you click on your character, you can then click the edit button. And then, so at the, let's see, where is it? So in the middle section, so the first button on the left is Prime, and then you'll see skills. You can put in your skills, and that is the beginning of knowledge and how to auto roll stuff.
Here, if this may help, let me pull it up, and I'll screen share real quick so you can sort of see how mine's set up.
Yeah, you can screen share into Skype.
Yeah. So let me open this up a bit. All right. So Skype. Where is stream? Share screen. There we go. So is that coming through?
Yep, there it is.
So first of all, when you first open it, a lot of times this little box is closed with the skills.
Right.
And so you want to open that up, and then clicking on these will add them to your character sheet. All the ones in red I've already added. And so the big thing is that when, let's say I'm going to add animals, because I don't have animals, right? So I'm going to add animals. When you add animals, it comes over as untrained. So you can see that red dot. And so if I've trained it to 0, I just click the red dot and it's now trained at 0. Animals actually has specialties. So technically I can never train it above 0. So if I hit train and then I click this green plus sign, this allows me to add specializations. So I can put in, I can't remember the animal specialization, but let's put training. I think that was one.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so,
animal
so
handling or...
Right, so I can put training 1, and so now it shows that with, animals, if it's based on dex is what it's defaulting to, but animal might be, let's say social. I have no idea if it is or not. But that basically, in the meantime, when he calls roll this plus this, you're just basically using this drop down to select whatever he's specifying you should use. And you'll have your level. And so the only thing to really keep in mind is to keep this misc modifier at 0, because you're probably not going to have a permanent misc modifiers.
Yeah, they're very. The only time that I could think of that a miscellaneous modifier would kick in is if you have an augmentation of some kind.
Right. So it's really your skill level. So then when he calls for an animal roll, if you had just animals, I would click animals, and it'll have a little pop up, and it'll ask my bonuses. The big thing to remember here is that if you have a +2, just type in 2. If you put in actual +2, it screws up the formula, and you end up
+2.
right. So you end up with a 0.
Yeah, it gets
because
wonky.
Of that. And so just remember that if it's positive, you just put in a 2, and it'll do it that way. That's the only real tricky thing there. And then similarly, if you want to roll your specialization, these 3 dots are how you roll the specialization. 2, there, and so that boom, that rolls animals. So okay, I'm gonna get rid of animals. Obviously, let's make this 0. Actually, I have unlock. Here's the little lock thing. This lets you delete. So I'm going to delete my specialization. And then I will close that. And then I'm going to remove animals because I don't have that. And I don't think I'll ever have to roll it. But you can sort of see, here's my electronics, how it's set up. I've got sensors with level 4, computers level 1, comms and remote ops. I have a 1 in those. Yeah. So that's basically it, And then now combat isn't quite as clean. Combat doesn't attach itself to your gun skill like you'd think. But if you go to combat here, it lets you put in all your armor stuff here, but it doesn't really. It doesn't do it. It doesn't do any. It just basically is a way to keep track of your armor.
Yeah, it's a reference.
So, but when you go down here to rape, right, like rape here. It asks your skill total, but it doesn't. It'd be nice if it would tie it directly to if you could say tie this to your bladed weapon, but it doesn't. So you just have to type in what your bladed weapon skill is. So my skill is a -3. I'm not trained in bladed weapons, but I was given a very nice rapier on graduation, so I kept it. And so similarly, so like stunner, I have a +2. And you want to make sure that's your gun skill, not your dex is separate from that. But you do have a way to specify whether you're using strength or dex for your weapons, obviously for melee.
Right.
And so and then again you roll it by just clicking this little box, the little box to the left, and that does the roll for you.
Well, how do I get the character sheet to show? Because
okay. So character sheet to show. All right. So this is that's an even more basic thing. So let me close this. So up top here, under there's up in the top right corner, next to there should be journal. And when you click on journal, you should see under this category characters, your character sheet.
I see me.
Right.
And when I click on it, nothing happens.
When you click on it, it doesn't open like this.
No.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I have a sick roll to 20. I'll have to try it again later.
So, and the one thing I will say is this little box up here next to your name, when you do get it, it will open your character sheet in a separate window. I have had nothing but problems when I use that. And so I don't recommend people do that.
Oh, yeah, it acts wonky.
It does weird things. One of my players, he was just having constant problems, and then all we could figure out is that he was always doing that. And I was like, well, try it without opening in a separate window. And the one thing you can do with your character sheet is if you double click up here, it'll minimize your character sheet. And then you can just double click to open it. And so that's really helpful if I want to see what he's sharing. I usually have my character sheet minimized and sort of out of the way. And then when he asks for something, I can really quickly open it back up because it does take a little longer to have to dig my character sheet out of the journal.
Right.
But yeah, so that's, and then the other thing too is if you hit edit, edit will let you put in a picture for your character.
Yep.
It'll let you make changes to your name. You'll need to probably coordinate with. You've already probably got a token set up, so I wouldn't mess with that because that's actually it actually requires Chris to have a token on the map to link to it. So you don't fiddle with that unless
Roll
work
20
work
is
with him.
Roll20 is
Work with-
really in love with tying their tokens to things.
Yeah,
Like
work
everything.
work with him if you want to update your token, but you should be able to update your picture without any worries. But that's how you'd update that. And so then also on the character sheet, so like Prime has the ability to enter like your background stuff. So under character history, like I've got my Charm 8, Sanity 7, Morale 6, and Luck 3. If you actually drag this down, I put down what I did each term in here under character history.
That's an excellent way of doing it.
And I've not really used it I could be getting a lot more use out of this. It'd be nice to actually have journaled what we've done, but I haven't done that. And then you have skills, inventory, just basically it's a way to add your junk to it. And so I've got things added to it, but it's they don't actually do anything in terms of roles or anything like that. And then if you ever get psionics, that comes under powers here. But
yeah, this is a much better character sheet.
It's essentially the same. It's just that appearance is better.
Well, I've noticed the one time that I did roll, I had to roll up a character for a new player on Wednesday night, and the skill section, you couldn't just click on stuff. You had to manually type in each of the skills.
No, the subcategories you still do.
Yeah.
But this was here before. The skill selector was here before for sure. This part's the same. But it looks better, and this die roll is really nice. In the past, when I would roll, I mean, I'm sitting there like squinting to try to see what I actually got, and I honestly have to hover my mouse over the number to try to figure out sometimes what I rolled.
Right.
So the numbers are bigger. It's easier to read. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, this is nice. The one thing that I like about Roll versus Roll20 is that you can creating your own character sheets is way easier. So like you don't have to script anything. It's drag and drop. You just create a character sheet. It's pretty awesome.
And the third thing I would tell you is don't mess with this attributes and abilities tab up at the top.
Yeah.
These are the formulas that actually make the character sheet work. If they know how they work, they're kind of cool. You can do some really cool custom character sheet building. But if you're a player and you're not doing it, you don't want to mess with that at all.
Right.
So leave that alone. The bio and info, this is blank right now, but if you hit edit, not only can you update your character and stuff, but you can enter, bio and info. I use this a lot as a GM when I'm making NPCs, because when I show them to a player characters, they see the picture, and then for a GM, you've got two sections. You've got a public-facing one, this bio and info, but you also have a GM notes section.
Right.
And so I'll put like information that the players know about this NPC, but then I'll oftentimes have GM notes for myself in case I forget something. And so that can be handy. But as a player, for a player character, use it if you want, but most likely nobody's going to see that. Nobody can see that but you and Chris.
Right.
Because we don't have, when you look at the journal, I don't have access to your character. I only can see my own.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the main thing is really the skills and the attributes. The attributes, you just plug the attributes in right here at the top. It'll automatically calculate the modifications for them. The frustrating thing, unfortunately, is that they've not included the alternate stats.
And I know. I was kind of hoping that they would, if they were going to do an update. When I was kind of excited because I was hoping that we would see the optional stats added in, and we didn't.
I am pretty sure if we really knew what we were doing, we could go in here to the attributes and abilities
and probably add it
and probably insert them. But I'm not good enough with it.
Right.
I've got a few players in one of my gaming groups, and they're really good with this stuff. And so they were modifying the hell out of the champions character sheet, so they would do all kinds of cool stuff. But I've never dug into it that deeply, and frankly, don't really want to.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it all for Roll20 almost gets into like a scripting language level of stuff, and I'm like, I hate coding. I did it for a long time, way back, and I'm like, you know what? I'm past. Kind of like working on my own car. I'd rather pay to take it to a mechanic. Thanks.
Sure. So that's what I would recommend. You can try to figure out why you can't open it. That's not good.
Yeah, that's so. Looking at it, yeah, it's in your player journal, Honorable Randolph.
When you hit edit, does it say that he can edit it as well? Because there's two things. There's
it can be edited or controlled by Honorable Randolph.
Good.
That's weird.
So that's the only thing I could really figure out that might be a problem.
That's what I was thinking too, but
I've been playing in a Star Wars 5th edition game. I gotta say those rule set's really good.
Oh yeah, I mean 5th edition would probably work really well for a Star Wars game.
But a bunch of fans have come together and they've created rules for it. It's called sw5e.com, and they do not have a license for it, so everything's free.
Right.
And it has stolen images from everywhere because again, no one's making money off of it. It's all fan generated, and so we've been playing that, and it's been really good.
Yeah. I played back in the D20 days. I played the both first and second edition of the Wizards Star Wars game in it.
Well, then you probably remember they did that one adventure path that takes you from like 1st to 20th level. So that's what we're playing. Somebody's adapted that to 5th edition, and so we're playing through it.
Yeah, and I actually recently got pretty much all of the old West End Games D6 version of Star Wars, and I was thinking about doing a campaign for that. Maybe not a campaign, but maybe a short one-off, couple of weeks kind of game. But I can imagine that 5e would actually. Honestly, I would say that I think that 5e would probably do better for Star Wars than it does for Dungeons and Dragons.
It's Dawn of Defiance was the campaign.
Oh yeah. And I think I might have that in a PDF form.
So we're playing through the 5th edition version of that.
Nice.
And, I'd never seen or read it. And so it's been a lot of fun. I purposely picked the class that looked the least effective in the game. So I picked a scholar, and I went politician route.
Nice.
And you basically, it's like a bard, but you don't get spells.
Right. Well, yeah, and I mean, if you've got a good ref, if you got a good game master, I could see that may be more useful. That character class might end up being more useful than you might think.
Well, you're giving out bonuses to your team. So I can do things like I can say, hey, punch him. And then all of a sudden that guy gets an immediate reaction they can use their reaction to hit a guy. Right. And they get a bonus to hit and a bonus to the damage on that and stuff. So it's a lot about making. And then if one of my teammates misses, I can add a D4 to their roll and a D4 to the damage if they connect. And so, so it's basically all about making your other group members more effective.
Right. No, that's cool.
I like playing that type of character, but the group's all murder hobos. They're all D&D players.
Of course.
we're on a hut controlled planet. We're supposed to find out information from the hut. As we leave the starport, we're getting shaken down by bandits, by basically like a biker gang. And so I try to talk the leader down, and as I'm talking her down, one of the guys is like, I'm shooting that guy in the face.
No shit.
And I'm like, okay, I'm talking to her, and he goes, I'm shooting him in the face. And so all of a sudden it's like, well, now we're in combat. Right. So I intimidate the leader into like, let's calm down, keep your guys down. And one of my engineers is like, I'm having my droid fire a grenade into the fragmentation grenade in the middle. And you're like, you're going to fragmentation grenades?
I'm going to fireball at point blank range.
It's really hard to de-escalate when someone's firing frag grenades into the...
It's all fun and games until somebody drops a grenade. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's and then you're after the whole thing ended, we're like, so can you see how possibly a biker gang might provide an in towards the hut in charge of the planet since they control the underworld.
Yeah.
It's like, do you see how we don't necessarily want to just shoot them in the face? It's like, yeah, so it's
Sounds like a good time, though.
yeah, you know.
All right, guys. I will.
All right.
I'll try and do a little bit more investigation, see if I can scrounge up.
You might want to just try creating a new character for him and just see if that does.
Yeah, I might do that.
I would just open a blank, create a blank one for him, and see if that works. Roll20 does weird things sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of the time, to be honest.
But the nice thing is that once you've assigned it over to him, he can log in anytime and work on it.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I will fiddle around with it, and we'll see if we can't get that working for you, Randolph.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Take care, guys.
I will see you guys next week.
Have a good weekend.
You too.